Hi guys, today we are working on what your animal eats and then what eats your animal. I have my example slide on slide 2 and then your slide that you're going to be writing in on slide 3. So you can see on slide 3 that it says, what does your animal eat? Write 3 to 4 sentences here because you are adding examples, right? I don't just want you listing 2 words in here, right? Complete sentences with examples of what those foods are. And then the second part, what eats your animal? So is your animal hunted by anything? And you'll write 2 or more sentences in this box. So down here on the bottom, my little notes for you are, is your animal a predator or a prey animal? How do you know? If your animal is at the top of the food chain, do humans threaten this animal by hunting it or destroying its habitat? And then how do you know? So that's all information I want you to put in your slides. So let's check out my examples. I got all of my information from this website, which I've already have pulled up. It's that Smithsonian National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute website. I've been using it a lot. And I made sure to look for the subtitle that says food and eating habits. There was also information on the National Geographic one. Up here it said diet omnivore, so that means that it eats both plants and animals, but that didn't feel like enough information for me. And then even down here there was one paragraph, but I wanted to make sure that I had lots of information to use, so I used another resource. So first question was, what does your animal eat? So first, I just need to read through the information. Just like when we do in class, I'm going to just read through these first 2 paragraphs for you and have you listen along. Millions of zoo visitors enjoy watching giant pandas eat. A panda usually eats while sitting upright, in a pose that resembles how humans sit on the floor. This posture leaves the front paws free to grasp bamboo stems with the help of a pseudo thumb, like a fake thumb, formed by an elongated and enlarged wrist bone covered with a fleshy pad of skin. The panda also uses its powerful jaws and strong teeth to crush the tough, fibrous bamboo into bits. So that sentence is really important, that it uses its strong jaw and it crushes through the bamboo. And the bamboo has a lot of fiber, right? Fibrous bamboo into bits. Cool. And then a giant panda's digestive system is more similar to that of a carnivore than an herbivore. So it's more inclined to eat meats than it is plants. And so much of what is eaten is passed as waste. That means going to the bathroom. To make up for the inefficient digestion, a panda needs to consume a comparatively large amount of food, from 20 to 40 pounds of bamboo each day, to get all of its nutrients. Guys, that's so much food. To obtain this much food means that a panda must spend 10 to 16 hours a day foraging and eating. The rest of its time is spent mostly sleeping and resting. Oh my goodness, guys, isn't finding information about our animals just so fascinating? 10 to 16 hours eating? That's crazy. And then sleeping and resting. Whew, man, sounds like a fun day. Okay, so I have to think about all of that information I just collected. And sometimes I even like to make my screen smaller, like that, and I can like click and drag and make it smaller. And then, I'm not sure if you guys can see this because I think I only made it part of my screen you can view. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it big. Sometimes I like to have both screens next to each other. So that's one way to do it, is just to minimize your screen. Okay, so what does your animal eat? I learned a ton of information in these 2 paragraphs, so I have to come up with a way to shorten it and put it in my own words so that I can show that I've learned something and that I'm not just copying and pasting what the zoo said about pandas. So I wrote, pandas eat a lot, right? We learned that. They are omnivores, meaning they eat plants and animals. In addition to bamboo, which is what they eat a lot, they may eat birds and rodents. Bamboo is a tall, fibrous plant. That word fibrous was new for me, but I took it and I used it from the website and I put it in my own writing. Pandas must consume 20 to 40 pounds of bamboo each day. That means they sit around eating for 10 to 16 hours each day. Wow. That was such an interesting fact that I wanted to include it in my writing. Okay, so for what eats your animal? I had to go back to my page where I got all my information from, and I remembered that when I went through all the different subtitles, size, native habitat, communication, there wasn't ever anything that stuck out to me that would tell me that it had information about prey and predators. So, man, I really had to use my critical thinking skills and come up with a way that I could find this information out. So I went back to the beginning and I just started reading again. The giant panda, a black and white bear, has a body typical of bears. It has black fur on its ears, eye patches, muzzle, legs, and shoulders. The rest of the animal's coat is white. Although scientists do not know why these unusual bears are black and white, some speculate that the bold coloring provides effective camouflage. Ooh, I feel like this is a good sign because this is going to tell me why it needs to be camouflaged, right? In patches of dense bamboo, an immobile giant panda is nearly invisible and virtually disappears among snow-covered rocky outcrops on a mountain slope. This theory does not work, however, when considering that giant pandas have no natural enemies to hide from. So that tells me that they have no natural enemies. They're not naturally preyed on by anyone. Another thought is that the pattern may accentuate social signals in some way or help pandas to identify one another from a distance so they can avoid socializing, as they are typically a solitary animal. So that means that they mostly live alone. Another theory suggests that the black absorbs heat while the white reflects it, helping giant pandas maintain an even temperature. Unfortunately, there's no one conclusive theory as to why giant pandas are black and white. Fascinating. So that's why in my notes I have pandas have no natural enemies. Now, I did remember learning about humans and that they have lost habitats. So that's part of them, like that's where they live. They have lost habitats from farmers and people cutting down trees and whole forests. So even though that wasn't it wasn't addressing the what eats pandas, right? It's still addressing what is a predator to these pandas. So even though humans aren't hunting pandas for food necessarily, they're destroying their habitats, which causes them to be endangered. So I felt like that was a really important piece of information that I had to include, right? And I knew that in my directions, this said I needed 2 or more sentences. So I really had to think, they have no natural enemies. And I could have just given up right there. But instead, I really was thinking flexibly and thinking about another way that I could include a predator for pandas, even though it didn't mention any animals.